Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live. I am so excited. I say that every single podcast, but today I am very excited because on today's show, I have two phenomenal people that I have the privilege and the pleasure of meeting at the Me Show Film Festival back in July in Los Angeles. Well, first of all, welcome to a conversation with I'm your humble host, Floyd Marshall Jr. And today I am joined by the incomparable power couple, Roni and Caleb Davis. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they have created a couple of phenomenal web series that ended up going to network television, the Tough Love series, Pillow Talk, and they also have this phenomenal Instagram page, which was absolutely amazing, called Black Love Exists. And, I'm just so excited to talk to them because so many times people ask the question, how? How do I go from, I'll just say it, obscurity, YouTube to network television? And today I have this phenomenal husband and wife duo who are going to give us some real insight on how that's done from the beginning, inception, until the present. And I'm telling you, 30 million views on YouTube, BET, Black and Sexy TV, TV One, Daytime Emmy nominated. I mean, the list goes on. Married, which is, we got to talk about that because the fact that you guys have accomplished so much and you're still in love, that's a good thing. So Roni and Caleb, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was an incredible intro. Thanks, Floyd.
Thank you, Floyd. We definitely appreciate the love. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to be here.
Yes, and yes.
Yeah. Again, I was so excited because let's go back to July, and I had the good fortune to be sitting in on a panel that the two of you were a part of. And the thing about film panels is you learn so much. And as I was sitting there listening to your story, I was very intrigued. And I said to myself, oh, wow, I really have to talk to them. So when the panel was over, I went outside, looked you guys up, and I'm messaging you, I'm messaging Roni on Instagram, and I turn around and she's standing right there. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm messaging you right now.
That was
yeah, cool. that was really crazy. Now, the question that I normally like to ask my guests is, how did you get started in the film business? But I want to go back a little bit further than that because I understand that the two of you met at the University of Riverside, California. But I want to go back a little bit further than that. In high school, what was the thing that made the both of you say film is something that we want to do?
Yeah, that's a really great question. That's where it really clicked for me. My mom, she works over at City Hall in Torrance, California, and it was a TCTV, Torrance Community Television open house. We didn't live in Torrance, but since she worked there, she always invited us to events. And at this open house, it was my first insight, my first experience to see like a studio, cameras, lights. They even had their news channel. So they had a news desk. They took us around the corner and they showed us all these different editing bays. And in my mind, I'm like, whoa, this is how television is created. This is how television is made. Like, I really want to get into this. So literally for me, it was a big bright light. And at that moment, I was on a quest. Anybody that I see along this quest, I'm talking to them. Anybody that I want to figure out how to get into this industry, I'm going to make a connection. So I found the facilitator of the event, and he said, hey, if you want to be a producer for a TCTV, be my guest. Come next Saturday, and we have these week programs, so you can be a producer. You can learn how to create a television by teaching you the camera basics, teaching you editing, and then we distribute it to the community on the television channel. So I spent my early days in high school there in TCTV, in the Torrance Community Television Center, and it was an excuse for me to stay out late because I'll get out of school, at around like 2 or 3, I invite my friends over. Hey, come to the studio. Let's film some stuff. Let's go to the editing bay. And I could be out till like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I just tell my parents I'm at the studio creating content. So that was some of my early days of independence. And I literally started building on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and for me, it was I didn't know specifically that I wanted to be in film when I was in high school. I did always love film, and I had a passion for it. Initially, early high school, I tried to pursue acting. I did drama actually in junior high school, and then I remember auditioning for a really popular school out here called Hamilton High, where a lot of actors came out of, and I for some reason, I don't know why I auditioned as OG Bobby Johnson from the movie South Central. And so that was a random selection. I really loved the movie South Central, so I don't know why I auditioned as that, but I did not get into the school based on that audition. But I did know in my early years that I wanted to write. And so entering college, I entered as a creative writing major.
Okay. So you guys get to college. How did you meet? Because Caleb, you were already there. Ronnie, you were just coming in. So how did you guys meet? How did that happen?
It was very interesting. Let's say the least. Me and my fellas, we went around praying on the young girls, and we prayed hard.
Okay. And when he says pray, he just means on our dining dollars.
So we had these things called bear bucks, which are your college dollars to spend on treats and meals and things. And we knew that freshmen, you get all this extra bear bucks. We know that it's a little surplus. You have extra bear bucks. So we like, hey, we went to all the young girls, young freshmen, like, hey, since ours ran out, we don't have as many bear bucks as the freshmen. So I go to Ronnie's table where it's her and her friends. And again, it always worked. It always worked. But except for this one day, it didn't work. Okay. So I was like, hey, can I get some bear bucks for Panda Express?
And I was like, no, why would I give you bear bucks? He was like, it's bear bucks, making it seem like it's not really money. And I was like, I could use those. Why would I use them on you?
Right.
And so from there, he was like, we went back and forth a little bit. He tried to convince me. And after that, he reached out to my friend like, hey, what's her number? I'm really interested in her.
Okay.
So from there, we just like started talking and it just grew from there.
Yeah. You know what? It's so funny. It's this gentleman that I listen to. I quote him so much. A gentleman by the name of Ed Milet. And he says, things don't happen to you. They happen for you. I love Ed Milet. He says, things don't happen to you. They happen for you. So the fact that you happen to run out of bandit bucks at that moment puts you in a position where you would meet your future wife, which is absolutely crazy. So that is amazing. So you guys go through college, and let's fast forward to graduation. I'm curious, why did you guys decide to move to New York out of film school? Because oftentimes the reverse is true. People leave everywhere else to try to come to, California. What was the decision that made you guys say, once you graduated film school, that you were going to go to New York?
Yeah,
I always say for us, we needed that push. It's still very difficult just because you're born and raised here. It's still very difficult to break in Los Angeles. And so for us, we found that we had already experienced. I went and studied abroad in Italy for a while, and he got his film degree, his master's in film in London. And so we found that going to new locations pushed us further. And so we were like, we need a change of scenery. We both had always dreamed of living in New York. And so we decided, let's move there. Let's get that push. Let's just hit the ground running. We were like separating ourselves from family, from close friends, and just fully locking in a new place. And so it was definitely the push we needed.
Okay. Okay. Caleb, please.
Yeah, right before we graduated, I graduated 10, she graduated 11.
Mhm.
And right before we graduated, we were doing a lot of internships. She was actually like the internship queen.
Okay.
And so she interned at Fox News. We both interned at KTLA together. She interned at D. Buenaventura, a film company, a film production company. I interned at Warner Brothers post-production television division. So we had inside knowledge of the people that were within the company.
Mhm.
So I saw an advantage of like, oh, well, I saw locals being complacent. I see that people would go into said Warner Brothers, said KTLA, and do their job, which is totally fine. It's probably their dream job.
Mhm.
But I never saw anything bigger than that, broader than that. I saw like the creatives would come into town and then give the creative idea, and then the local production team would make it happen. So I'm like, what if I get out of this realm and go to London? And when I went to London, it broadened my film horizon. It broadened my cinema palette. I was
Mm.
able to see cinema on a whole nother level, not just American movies, but British films, Bollywood, Nollywood, French New Wave films. Like I was able to have a robust palette. So then learning from other people, other countries, I was able to shape my mind differently than just staying in America or even staying in Los Angeles. I felt it would have kept me, very complacent.
Okay. So you guys didn't move to New York straight out of college. There was some time in between where you
Oh,
guys were
yeah.
Yes.
basically building your. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
it was
awesome.
it was 2 years in London.
Okay.
It was about 6 months in Italy for Ronnie.
And 6 months in Atlanta where I was interning at CNN.
Oh,
And then
wow.
there we decided to make the move to
and
New York.
and then from New York. So Ronnie, she wanted to elevate, so she applied to the new school and she got in for her master's program in media management. And that's where I'm like, I want to go into New York on the ground floor.
Hmm.
Like I think the very first job I applied for was the crafty department for a production. So I wanted to just
Just get in there.
just get in there, and I got denied. There's like they looked at my resume. They're like, you're overqualified for the crafty department. We can't give you the job. I'm like, no, I want the job.
I just want to be on set.
I just want to be on set.
So he became a production assistant on set and was just hopping around from production to production
Okay.
while I was in school getting my master's.
Wow. So you know what? I had another question, but I want to touch on what you just said really quickly. Now, you have your master's by this time, correct? Caleb, you have your master's by this time.
Yes.
Okay. But you said to yourself, by hook or crook, I'm getting in. And you end up going for the lowest level job on the totem pole. And you end up becoming a production assistant.
Yep.
Where did you get that mindset from? Because normally people with, let's just call it your pedigree at that time, you've studied in London, you've worked with all of these international people, but you say to yourself, doesn't matter. I know what I need to do in order to get in, and I'm going to do that. Where did that mindset come from?
Yeah, that mindset, it was just very hungry. Before we moved officially to New York, we did 3 months in Atlanta, or she was in Atlanta for CNN, but I was stopping through between London and Atlanta for 3 months. And the piece of paper, the knowledge, the information I got, valuable. The piece of paper in front of people doesn't really do much. Sometimes it intimidates people because there are a lot of people in the industry that don't even graduate from high school. That there are some people that they're just so artistic, they're just so talented that they rose from out of nothing and became something great. So when I would put BA from University of California, Riverside, master's, at that time, I worked for the Olympics broadcast in London for 2012 Olympics. The resume was great. But for those people who are superior, that's been in the industry for 15, 20 years, I'm like, can you work? They want to know, can you work?
Yeah. And also, it's just like this industry, a lot of what we want to do as far or what we're doing as filmmakers, there is no like standard application. You can't go to Indeed and say, I want to be a director. There's no listings for director. It's all a work your way in, network, who you know type of industry. And so even though we had the degrees, we had the knowledge, but we still knew that we had to work our way up.
So basically, it was a relationship building type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And learning on the job experience, because even though, you know, you can learn in school, the classroom setting is totally different from the set.
Yeah. Oftentimes people don't understand that. I'll just give an example. When I was in the Navy and I had just gotten out of helicopter school and I go to my squadron in San Diego. I was stationed in San Diego for 3.5 years. And when I got to my squadron and, you know, I get assigned to the detachment and I'm doing all of this school stuff. And the people that had been in the fleet for years, they were like, well, what are you doing? Because it turns out that school knowledge is very different from actual on the job knowledge. There may be some things that you did in school that it's not going to fly in the real world because we have to get the helicopter in the air. So if you're on a set, they're like, yo, we need to get this production going. So you coming in here coloring by the numbers ain't cutting it. So that's very interesting. But let's fast forward. So you do the PA.
And also just quickly, you mentioned helicopter.
Sure,
there is one going around. You mentioned helicopter, so
really?
We keep trying to mute. I don't know if you can hear it on your end.
You know what? I actually hear sirens.
Yeah. Sirens, helicopter.
Is something going on in Los Angeles at the moment?
I don't know.
I'm like,
what's really happening? Are all the doors locked?
Our children are inside with the grandparents, so we didn't get a call. So
okay,
be fine.
Okay, okay.
It doesn't make the sound too bad.
Wow. So let's fast forward a little bit because I'm really curious about the creation of Tough Love. So how long did you do did you work the PA? And Ronnie, what were you doing so you were still in school at this particular time?
Yes. So I was in school, working on my degree, and he worked his way up. So how long did you PA?
Yeah, I PA for at least 2 to 3 years.
Oh wow.
So what I would do, like when the first time I got that very first job, so again, they denied me for crafty PA. So my information was passing around. So then I became office PA, like day playing office PA. And my mission was, as soon as I go in there, every single person, I don't know what role, I'm saying hi, I'm getting your information, I'm talking to you. And I was just hungry. Whether you're a camera operator, whether you're a sound person, whether you're a director, it doesn't matter. I'm talking to you, I'm connecting with you. And I literally just started building from there. Like as soon as that production was over, people was like, hey, we're on to the next one. Are you available?
You did coordinator. You did PA for about a year and then coordinator.
So it's always a blend. It's always a blend, right? Mm-hmm. You always get to the point. It's like, okay, I'm gonna take coordinating jobs, but if PA jobs are available, I'm gonna take them. Reason being, when I'm on set, I'm absorbing all this information. Yes, I was able to do a production set in college, but the production set in college didn't have the professionals, and it didn't have the high-end cameras, didn't have the high-end production management, didn't have the high-end talent. So I was then able to absorb all that information, getting my Tough Love set etiquette ready. So I go in to do coordination, so learning how to do call sheets, schedules, just basic, making sure that everything is organized within a production. And then at that time, I'm like, yo, some of these camera operators that are picking up cameras, they just started shooting maybe like 3 months ago. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go invest and buy a Canon 5D Mark III at the time. And then what is so I'm going to invest in a Canon 5D Mark III, my personal money. And now I was able to start shooting on projects, not on the professional projects, but other PAs that had visions and they had documentaries that they wanted to do. They didn't have enough money to hire the top DP or the top camera operator. But since I built with them, since I was able to laterally move with them, they're like, oh, I trust you. Yeah, you got a good eye. Oh, you got the equipment. Come on. And so now I'm PA coordinator, DP camera operator, and slowly I'm just production management, production manager, producer. So now after getting all these skill sets, getting all these contacts, now Ronnie taps me and say, hey, it's time to be creative. It's time to do what you really want to do, what you went to film school for. And it wasn't a feature film at the time, but it was Tough Love.
Okay. So where did the concept for Tough
you getting
married? That's married people right there.
The
that's all good. Where did the concept for Tough Love come from?
So we had a lot of peers, even though we were together since we were really young. We had lots of peers, young family around us that was just telling us how tough the dating pool was. And we had a little studio in the heart of Manhattan, and people would come over and they would vent to us and we would give advice. And we were just that young couple that was always giving advice or always being a listening ear. And we were like, we need to start telling these stories of how tough it is out here for people to find love, and then even when find love, for people to maintain love. And so and then I also had the platform already, Black Love Exists, where I was highlighting different Black couples. And I was like, okay, I've built an audience here. I had about 10,000 followers at the time. And I was like, we can create content about Black love and cater it to this audience. And we know we have a built-in audience already, and we can build it up that way. And then we were in New York City, and for us, every day was just still exciting looking at New York City because it just has so much energy, great backdrops for film. Like all we thought about was different movies while we were walking through the streets and stuff. And we were like, this is a backdrop in itself. No, we don't have the money to have a built set, but this is a set we're walking through daily. And so we can utilize this and just create our own thing. We can't wait for anyone else.
Wow. So that's very interesting that you should say that, because when I was reading something, and you talked about the first season of Tough Love filming in the one apartment, but switching things around.
Absolutely.
And can you guys talk about that? Because oftentimes when filmmakers decide that they want to make a film or a series, they feel as though they need 10 different locations, which is money, which is time, which is travel. And in reality, you don't. So can you guys talk about that first season and some of the things that you did in order to get that first season done?
Yeah. We call it a DiGiorno budget because we had those DiGiornos in the freezer. When it came time for lunchtime, we popped them in the oven. Cast and crew was eating DiGiorno pizza.
And the thing is, there's just so many talented actors out there who don't have an opportunity. There's talented sound techs. There's talented music supervisors. There's just so much talent out there, and they don't have the opportunity to exercise that talent. And so you think like, oh, I need a big budget for this, but no, there are people who just would like to hop on board creatively and get more experience and exercise their talents. And so what we did was we found those people who were willing to work for free like we were doing. And we were like, we can't provide lunch order lunch, but we can pop these in the oven and make sure you have a cold water. And so we found the talent that way. And then Caleb, as he said, he had invested in his own equipment. We didn't have much, but we had his own equipment to work with. And then there's also, he would rent some equipment if we didn't have that.
Yeah.
Was it the Share Grid? It was the site he would use, and those were like a little lower cost than industry standard. Well, a lot lower cost than industry standard. And then we were like, we don't have interiors, we don't have money to rent an interior, but we do have this apartment. We didn't have much furniture in it, and so we could just move around. We would go to Target, buy picture frames, buy towels and things of that nature. Take it back later, keep the tags, tuck the tag, hang it up to make it look like a different room. And it was raw, it was gritty, but it actually resonated with the audience a lot that way, because they felt like, I really know these people. I'm in the room with them. I understand only having an air mattress to sleep on.
Yeah, and just to piggyback what Ronnie was saying, just like the raw, you'll get it done mentality, still be true to the story, tell the story, and by any means necessary, get this thing done. I coined it as also the filmmaker's mixtape, meaning at that time there was a lot of hip hop rappers coming out. They would make mixtapes. It won't be fully finished. It could still get a buzz where you could still do 1 million streams on it. And the mixtape would be done when they're not doing their studio album. So artists like Lil Wayne, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, they had mixtapes. So I'm like, if they're just doing raw, the audio doesn't have to be on the full mastered and mixed, but people can hear it and understand what's going on. I don't mind pulling, this person that, just only acted for about a year, but has talent. Or I don't mind teaching somebody that has an interest in sound mixing, and they're really good, and putting them on set, giving them opportunity because they can't go to other places. And it was all a place to learn. It's now looking back, every season I would go back. So season 1, season 2, I changed things from season 1. Season 3, so on. So I'm always learning from my past work, where I personally feel even goes back to the LA is, if I was just waiting in LA to get the opportunity to work alongside Denzel, Will Smith, I would have just been waiting, not getting that hands-on experience, not getting that critical thinking and understanding of when you're on set, you want to get it done. If a gaffer grip tells me, oh, I can't do it, I'm like, change your f-stop, throw some ND on there, let's just get it rolling. They're like, oh, he knows, so we have to do it. So at the end of the day, I'm a full advocate of whatever resources that you have at your fingertips. Utilize that to create your vision. The audience came, they enjoyed the content, and that's what got us up every day to create more and more content.
Yeah, and that's amazing. When I talk to young filmmakers, and sometimes the question will be, well, what type of equipment do I use? What type of camera do I use? I said, the one that you have.
Right.
Because as you guys just so eloquently pointed out, you can make it work. What did they say in Ray? Make it do what it do.
Right.
You have to make it work. And as far as when you were talking about the set for the first season, and having the air matches and having this. Now, and I've been married for a very long time. Me and my wife, we've been together for 42 years. We've been married for 35.
Wow.
And I remember that first apartment didn't have a lot,
right?
But it had us. So people, when the beauty of a story, and the thing that I liked about Tough Love is it was truthful. So people resonated with that truth. When you're seeing that one picture on the wall and you look in the refrigerator and you may see some ramen noodles, some bottled water, some Kool-Aid in the cabinet. That's usually how it is when you first start out as a married couple or as a couple, and you're building together. And then you build on season 2, and then you build on season 3. And, as in a relationship, things get better as you build together. And I want to ask you guys a question because, again, I was listening to an interview you guys did, talking about the workflow on the set. But before I ask that, would the two of you categorize yourselves as alpha personalities?
Yes.
I think she likes to be that.
We both are alpha. Oh my goodness. Are you gonna say you're not an alpha?
I don't like to.
You don't want to be categorized.
I don't like to be categorized because I like to be collective. I'm a collective guy, right? I don't mind facilitating. I don't mind facilitating, but I feel it's strength in numbers rather than just being the alpha and dictating.
So the reason I ask you guys that is that something that you learned? Because listening to an interview, I remember hearing that when you guys would be on set, if there was a difference of opinion, it would be kind of, you guys would go at it in front of the cast and the crew until you kind of learned how to say, okay, well, let's take that to the side. And that's the reason I was asking, are the two of you alpha personalities? So how did you guys learn how to navigate that particular thing when, Roni, you have a particular idea and how, you want things to go, and Caleb, you're saying, well, I see that, but I wanted, so how did you guys kind of navigate that and come to a place where you were more collaborative and facilitators?
I think that just working together more and more, we were learning each other's strengths, learning where to trust each other on. Okay, I know he owns that space. I'm going to own this space over here. So that was just with time and experience. I think at the beginning, we were still learning so much, still figuring it out. And so we both thought our idea or our way may work better. But as we learned how everything really, how we were able to make so much progress, we were like, okay, we know how to delegate. And so we would own our own spaces, and then also just our productions grew, right? So it grew. So we didn't have much time to be sitting there arguing back and forth. We were like, okay, I'm going to have to just learn to trust that he has it on lock. What would you say?
Yeah. By one of the early things that we've learned is pull each other to the side, because disagreements are going to happen. Between disagreements happen between the actors, disagreements happen between crew, disagreements happen between us. So I know that they're going to happen, and when they do happen, don't do it out in the open. Let's find a very discreet place, quiet place, and let's talk it out. Let's not shout it out. Let's talk it out. Yes, let's consider that we can't be talking about this forever, and we got to come up with a solution. But I think that really kind of takes the spotlight off of us. I think it was just off. It's a little small tangent. Somebody noticed that when there isn't an audience for us, things kind of dissolve really quick.
That wasn't us.
Yeah, it's like somebody's like, I'm gonna just walk away, and then things escalate. So when I feel that when we're in a quiet place, we're able to resolve things a lot quicker. And therapy, like me and Roni, we do couples therapy just in our everyday life, not only as business partners, creative partners, parents, husband, wife. We tried our best to listen to one another. We try our best to know that, okay, that person is have that certain emotion right now. Let's let them be. Let's not control certain situations. So we're all culminating all that in a high stress environment, which is set, and also a creative environment is making it happen. We try our best to just get all these things, all these experiences that we've learned, all these systems, and kind of fumble through which one is, okay, we're gonna do that one. Let's go to the side. Let's speak quietly. Let's settle. Let's not be snappy. Let's not be controlling. And then
compromise. Compromise is huge. So I'll say it sometimes. I'll let you make the decision on the last one. You got to give me something. And so we definitely learned to compromise.
Well, you know what? That's part of being partners and growing. But
Hmm.
you know what it also shows? It shows the people on set who may have aspirations of doing their own thing, how to do conflict resolution.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to pick that battle. And is this the battle worth fighting at the moment, or do I just say, okay, what, I'm gonna acquiesce and let him or her have that? Because again, at the end of the day, it's all about the production. Does it
Yeah.
serve the production? And if
Right.
it doesn't serve the production, then it's not serving anyone. So that's great. Because I would guess being a married couple and working together constantly, that has a set of challenges all its own, because you're at work, but then you're going home too.
Yes.
So, wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there was one morning. It was just we do again. We've progressed so much, and we get along so much better now. But there was one morning on when we were filming our last second season, our first season of Tough Love Atlanta last year, and we did have like an intense morning where we just couldn't come to an agreement. And our brother, who we work with, he was like, "You guys need to figure this out quick." He's a production manager on set with us, and he was like, "You need to figure it out quick. You have a whole set of people waiting on you. Like, you need to resolve this." And we were like, "You're right." He had to just snap us back into reality. Whatever this little petty thing we can't figure out, we have to figure it out, because we have a whole team literally waiting on us. You know what I mean? So we can't let our own issues affect that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're also very spiritual people. We trust and love in God. And we definitely know that the devil has an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And the devil, he either the devil or his little demons fly around, and they always find holes, and they pick holes, especially in the great times, especially when things are going up.
Amazing. Oh my goodness.
So sometimes it's a prayer. It's tapping into that
Yes.
spiritual realm.
Yes.
Seeing how the devil wants to sabotage the gifts that God is putting right in front of you, and like if it's not clear, you have to gain clarity, and then it's like, oh, it's not even me and you, it's the devil, and he's working. He's found the way in. He's found the weaknesses, and he's working on it. So let's pray this off. Let's think about all these amazing gifts that God has given us, and let's focus on those more, because the devil's not going to win this one.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, because after the incident with Mr. Smith and Mr. Rock, Denzel pulled him to the side and told him, the devil comes at you when you're at your peak.
Yes. Yes.
Because when you're at your lowest, he's like, ain't nothing there to see. But when you're at your pinnacle, now's the time to attack. And sometimes when you get on the other side of that and you do pray and you do say, you know what, peace be still, we're going to take a moment. And then you look back on it, you're saying to yourself, I don't even know where that started.
Right.
I don't even, where did that come from? And you're looking at each other like, what the heck? That's something we never get into anything about, but because those forces see where the two of you are going, and they're like, oh, no, see, no. That road is a little too smooth for Roni and Caleb. So we gotta do something about that. But that's amazing that you guys are spiritually grounded. I'm just loving this conversation, and I haven't even gotten to half my questions. So, but I'm not going to keep you guys too long. So you do Tough Love season 1 and season 2 of New York, and my wife wanted me to ask you because she said it was so good, and then it just stopped. So what ended up happening? Did you guys plan on shooting a season 3 and decided to go into another direction?
Our New York, our first
Yes,
series?
New York, yes.
We did 3 seasons of that one. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We saw them all. Well, maybe it's season 4 she was talking about.
Maybe it was season 4. Yeah.
So the second season, that was the season that was Daytime Emmy nominated.
Oh.
and we were almost tapped out, but so we had to kind of like, you know, after every season there's a demand. People like, everybody, crew, talent, saying let's do it again, and then for us we have to find our resources. Our very first season was independently funded, and then we did a GoFundMe for season 2, and then at the end of season 2 we linked with Black and Sexy TV, and we started selling our bonus episode. So we had a little bit of money to do season 3. So we're like, okay, we got a Daytime Emmy. We didn't win it, but let's do a season 3 to come back, you know, to get that trophy. That's what we wanted. And we did season 3. It was amazing. I really loved it. I'm a big fan of being in the field, being there with the actors, the process. Roni, she sometimes is half and half with set life.
Well, I enjoy it. I'm like, where's the money? We need the money. When you get to a 4th season, the demands get higher from the cast and the crew. You know, everyone's like, we need more money, which is understandable. And so it's tougher. You know, you can't pull out the DiGiorno when you're at a season 4.
Yeah, no more DiGiorno.
And then also, which is a big blessing, a lot of our talent started taking off and doing other projects. We just came from lunch with one of our talent who's on a lead on the Tyler Perry show, Sisters. And so,
yes.
Yeah, and we had a couple of other talent that have booked Tyler, have their own Tyler Perry shows and things of that nature now. And so that's a huge blessing. That is why they did it. And that's a big prayer of ours, is that our talent go on to do bigger, you know, projects. And so with that, it gets harder to schedule and get the cast together. They're doing other things. And so that's when we started creating spinoffs with new talent, more upcoming emerging talent, I should say.
So let's talk about the Emmy nomination, because that's major. From where you guys started, and in a few short years, you get an Emmy nomination. What did that feel like?
Was it a few short years, or it was just 2?
It was
just 2 years, and it felt unreal. It felt absolutely unreal. I remember one of our music supervisor, who's our close friend, she texted me and was like, "Do they have the right tough love?" It was like we just kind of just threw it out there, like, oh, let's see what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna apply.
And they were announcing, and I was like, I'm just gonna scroll. In this industry, it's sad, but you get used to rejection, right? You just let it roll off. You actually kind of expect the no's. You pray for the yeses, but you expect the no's. So I'm like, I'm gonna look at this. Did not think we were getting nominated. I said the prayer, but still didn't expect it. And I saw our name, and I was working at an office at that time, a job that I absolutely hated. And I was like screaming, and my coworkers who also hated the job, they were screaming for me. And then he was on set at the time, and so he couldn't scream with me, but he texted me pictures. Literally sent me pictures. And then I called my grandmother. She was crying. And so it was just a huge, huge moment for us. And it was like a celebration for like 6 months.
Oh, it was a marathon. It was definitely a journey. We let all the cast members know we had.
They didn't even know we had submitted for it. And so when we text them, "Are you sitting down?" They were like, "What?" They were in total shock.
Yeah, we set up a photo shoot, video shoot, went live with the fans, did a club appearance because a lot of people didn't get it either. Like, you know, some people were like, "Oh, you guys are Oscar nominated." Oh,
Grammy nominated.
My hometown city of Carson. They're like, "Oh, Grammy Award nominated." I'm like, wow. People just didn't. They knew it had weight, but they didn't know how to properly put it out into the world. So yeah, we're getting interviews. ABC 7 in New York.
The whole cast flew out here for the award show. Most of us were broke again, and so we were penny pinching at the awards, getting food and stuff like that.
Tagging on one of her good friends at the time that had an interest in PR and was like, hey, you can be our PR, or you could be on the step and repeat with us. You can, hand them she was learning, we were learning, and now she has a solid PR firm. Mm-hmm. So that's one of those, lateral moving filmmakers mixtape, because again, we didn't know how to do press properly.
Well, the Academy said, send us your publicist information. Who's going to be walking you down the carpet? We're like, publicist? Marketing ourselves. What are you thinking?
So that was a great time to tap in her friend.
Yeah.
And then my whole family. So we're living in New York, but my whole family's from LA. So my mom, dad, brother, everybody
walked the carpet with us.
Walked the carpet with us.
It was just an amazing moment, and it really, really helped us, of course, with our career and getting the show licensed and picked up from different networks.
Yes.
Wow. So I know I've been doing this for quite some time, and yes, this is a business of no. And I know, for the two of you, there have been some days when you were looking at each other like, why are we doing this? Why? And, you're looking at the checking account and it's not looking the way you would want it to. And, more money's going out the door than is coming in the door. And, some of them credit card statements are getting a little out of control. and then I've been there and I used to do a major film festival in Philadelphia. I did it for 6 years, and it got to the point where I just said, I just can't do it anymore, because we never had a sponsor. So it was all hustle, hustle grind, credit cards, things like that. Yeah. And it was amazing, but I was like, you know what? I just can't, but now everyone's like, bring it back.
Right.
And my thing is like, write a check.
Yeah.
But things are, we're in talks now, but I said it all to ask you this. Having all of that happen, and then this happens, that was validation.
Oh yeah. 100%. That's what we needed. I mean, we have each other to, when I'm feeling low like that, like, why are we doing this? He gives me the push, and vice versa. So that's always helpful. Our audience on YouTube, building that audience and seeing people say, give us more, that was helpful. But that nomination is what made people take us serious. We had family members that had never watched the show and said, wait, what is this you nominated for? And they turned it on. We have friends that did that. Like, that is what made, even still to this day, we're like, oh, we had a series on YouTube, and people are like, and it got nominated for an Emmy. What? It just changes the conversation. And so, no, we don't want to live off of validation from other people, but those moments, it does help along the journey.
Yeah. It's another stripe. The fact that we have the drive, that's a stripe. The fact that we have an audience, like you said, people wanting to see more, that's a stripe. Having the Emmy nom and that notoriety, another stripe. So I like just collecting the stripes and knowing that I could lose two, but I could still run off fumes on the other stripes, because there's been so many blessings that's been in our life. Season 1, me and Ronnie was boyfriend girlfriend. Season 2, me and Ronnie were fiance engaged. Season 3, we were husband and wife. Tough Love LA, we had one child. Tough Love Atlanta, we still have one child, and one in the oven. One in the oven. So it's this blueprint, and it's also the blueprint of our lives. So we have to continue creating so that these stripes continue to build, and also it just defines our journey. And I'm team Mr. Independent.
Ownership.
Ronnie is team
both.
I believe in both, but the validation of ownership keeps me going. Mm-hmm. It's like, at the end of the day, I could pull this back, have it in my possession, and hold on to it, hand it down to my kids, license it, make some type of product, program, coin the phrase, but it's ours. Where sometimes studios come in and they take everything and they give us a fee, which is good. But I really like the ownership of it. These were our babies before our real children, so I like nurturing them.
Wow, and that's great. And just really quickly on the Emmy nomination, that stripe, it's validation from other people, but in my humble opinion, that shows that you can do the work. Because sometimes people need to see the proof that you can do the work. They're like, well, they said they could. But see, when they read Roni Davis and Caleb Davis, and it has nominated for a Daytime Emmy, that is, for lack of a better word, street credit. You cannot take that away, because you can say anything else you want, but at the end of the day, that's on our resume. Yeah. How do we do that? We earned that. Yeah. Starting off in that one apartment, switching pictures around in the air mattress, GoFundMe. So that's a beautiful thing. And I just want people that are starting out wanting to do this to understand that there is a path. But let's talk about one of someone that you guys mentioned quite a bit, Issa Rae, and the role that she played, more than likely unknowingly, and where you guys are right now with the creation of Tough Love New York, Tough Love Los Angeles, Tough Love Atlanta, which is bonkers. We loved it. Pillow Talk. So what role did she play in you guys saying, hey, you know what? We want to do something, so we're going to do it.
Man, just being the blueprint. She not many people were doing it. She was one of the first, especially in our space as Black people and Black creators. And we saw her use YouTube to build an audience and go on to get on one of the biggest networks in television. And that was the motivation we needed to say, we can do this too. We can create our own and continue to grow and use our own platform and community to build.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And we early on growth hacking. We were on her Instagram, YouTube channel, tapping in with her, commenting to her followers like, hey, if you like content like Issa Rae's, come over to Tough Love and check it out. And people did. People would say, oh, I found out about y'all because y'all reached out to us when we on the Issa Rae page. So it was a market that was very like-minded. We saw the interest. Her grind, her as actually being talent and creator. We love watching it. Although we're just the creators, we're not the actual talent on camera. We still admire it. Sometimes we trying to toy like, hey, should we actually star or play in the series? But no, we always joke about it. We don't do it. But we definitely love the full package of Issa, and she definitely gave us a spark.
Wow. So you said something very interesting. Growth hacking. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because oftentimes, again, going back to marketing, because let's get into the business of this a little bit. Marketing, product, print and advertising, things like that. Oftentimes people do not use something that is right in front of them. Now, would you say that's because they don't know that they actually can? Because some people might look at that and say, well, why you on her page talking about your stuff? So is there a way to do that without stepping on toes?
Yes. So we did do that early on, and we did come off as spammers. So
and this was the early days. So
changed that.
Yeah, think of early Instagram was more like a Reddit where people spam, but they didn't spam as much. So, and we were relentless. We didn't mind. We didn't mind going to people like in these markets, in these other series, we didn't mind connecting with those people.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't mind cross promotion.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't mind if there is somebody that has an upcoming radio platform, let's do more cross promotion. We didn't mind. We see that people are commenting on your page. Let's join the conversation.
But he's talking about us being annoying to other people.
No, okay.
So you do have to be. You have to be strategic about it.
It's a strategy, but you still have to be relentless.
Mm-hmm.
Because just think about people marketing that people pay millions of dollars for. They're relentless. They have a billboard on the freeway as you're driving. You have no choice but to see that. Some people might see your billboard and be like, I hate seeing it, but they have to see it. And there might be another 1,000 other people like, oh, that's a reminder that I need to go watch that movie, or I need to go buy that product. So marketing has to be relentless, whether you pay for it or you do it for free.
And then also I think that you have to kind of be proud of the work you do. And so we were proud of our work, and we knew that if much of our audience saw it, that they would also enjoy the work. So we didn't always leave comments, but we would go follow them. And then we knew that if we popped up in there as new followers, they had no choice but to look and say, who is this following me? And then they would see our content and say, oh, it's another Black web series. And so you just have to be strategic. I would say not to, yes, be relentless, but don't get blocked on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, you get blocked.
Cameron said get blocked.
No, just because you're blocked doesn't mean the whole world blocked you. Right? That means that avenue didn't work. And I think early on, our very first season, after we air on YouTube, this was before like Zoom and everything. It was Skype at the time. We would Skype all of our fans. We'll have them lined up, do individual Skypes. And the last question, or even the first question, sometimes we'll ask them, how did you hear about us? And it's like, oh, y'all reached out to us to come watch. So if people want that invitation, let's provide more invitations. And let's not just depend on people just finding you, but actually meet them either halfway or meet them right at their doorstep.
Okay. Thomas Mason.
Thomas.
Yes. Writer Thomas.
He was one of the first on the Skype.
Yeah.
He said, I'm glad you guys never blocked me.
He on right now?
Yeah, he said earlier. He said, I remember when you guys got the Emmy nominations. He said, I remember shouting when I read that so well deserved love and blessings to you two always. So okay, so this is one of your audience.
He started off as a viewer, and he was always in the comments. He was relentless in his comments, and so we started having an ongoing joke on set when we would like try to do some little tricks with different items or moving the pictures around, and we would say, "Oh, nobody gonna notice that," and then we would always say, "Writer Thomas gonna notice," because his name online was Writer Thomas, and he was always in the comments. We knew he watched the show repeatedly, and he just had it down to a science. So we were like, Thomas gonna notice. And so he followed us along throughout the whole season of Tough Love New York, all 3 seasons. And he started reaching out to me as a writer. And then he sent me his scripts. They were incredible. He's an incredible writer. And so for Tough Love Atlanta, he joined as Love Los Angeles and Atlanta. He joined our writing staff.
Yeah.
And so he's now a writer for it.
Wow.
Yes.
So that is the power of relationship building, but it's also the power of asking.
Yes.
Because you ain't getting nothing if you don't ask for it.
Right.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
They sure don't. That is absolutely amazing. So Thomas, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have to, and you know what, that just, let me write this down before I forget it. I would love to have your writers and you guys come back on.
Yes.
Because I would love to know the process, because I understand, Ronnie, you wrote 20 episodes.
Yes.
You wrote basically the first 2 seasons.
Three.
The first 3 seasons.
The first 3 seasons.
as well.
Yeah, first 3 seasons of Tough Love, and then the first season of Pillow Talk. And then after
Wow.
that, we were like, once we developed our deal with Clio TV, we were like, let's build a writing team. So because we had to do a quicker turnaround.
Okay. Okay. So how many writers do you actually have on your team now?
It's a total of 10.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So how does that work? So are they your employees or are they basically contracted?
Contracted.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some writers that we do have, they write movies on networks, Bounce TV, Christmas movies. Writer Thomas has some of his own series and content that he creates. We have other creators that work in marketing departments, and this is time for them to express their creative muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the things we round up the troops, and whoever's available and just ready to create, we pull them together and contract them out. Yeah.
Wow. So going back to the beginning, we all have a vision of where we would like to be and where we would like to go. Did the two of you, when you set out to do what you've done, did you see it ending up being here? What was the vision where you guys said, okay, you know what? We saw Issa do it. We're very talented. And that's not being, arrogant. That's just telling the truth. Where did you guys see this going?
I think that what we saw was we did not see an Emmy nomination coming. We saw, we're going to create a season or two, and then we'll just go straight into a network deal and go full development process. But again, you tell God your plans and he laughs, right? And so we didn't know we would end up licensing the actual content that we created, and that would end up directly on television. And even, handling that deal and everything, it was totally different for us. And it's not something you can Google and figure it out. So it's just lots of learning as we went. And so, no, we didn't have this vision, but we are very thankful and blessed for where we are. And there's still so much further, so much more we want to do.
Yeah.
So talk about that really quickly, because we're about to wrap this up, because again, I don't want to keep you guys all night. I have so many more questions, but we can have a part 2.
Well, we're happy to come back.
Yeah.
Oh, you're definitely coming back. Please, y'all coming back.
Yeah.
But so this will be my last question. The licensing portion.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? Because again, if there's someone out there saying to themselves, I want to do what Roni and Caleb did, and let's say they get to that point, what was the licensing process like?
Yeah, the licensing was literally cold emails. It was going to the doorsteps of the people that are part of the development and acquisition departments at these networks.
And it was 2 processes. One was, because we don't want to just say sit behind your computer. It's also getting out there with the people. So our first licensing deal was for the friend I was talking about. That was our publicist. She was at an event and she met some of the heads over at TV One, and they told her they were starting a new network called Clio TV, a sister network. And she's told them about the show. We got on the phone and we started working out the deal. And it was totally different for us. It was totally new for us, and it was totally new for them as well. They had never licensed a web series before. They licensed multiple at that time, but this was their first time doing this. And so it was a learning lesson for everyone involved. They had a little older way of doing things. They were a little older, and they were like, who are these? Some of the people on the team were like, who are these new people coming off of YouTube? What is going on? It was lots of back and forth and figuring it out. And it was one of the toughest things we've ever done.
Yeah. For me, it was like another year of film school. It's nothing could have ever prepared me for that. And for that month or two, just getting everything dialed in and, ready to be delivered. it was a process. And I'm not just talking with like the work itself. I'm talking about the people, the different departments you have to go through. So that was just brand new for us, getting things up to, you know, spec and quality, and reaching out to friends in the industry for their assistance. Like it was very, very tough. But once we got over it, it was worth it. And we were able to, again, whatever that we did wrong the first time, the next time it was to come to license, we did better.
It was so much easier.
The organization was really good at first. It was even better.
And even with other networks, it was so much smoother because we had learned. We went through the tough. Next network, T Plus, and that was a cold email, and they said, "Oh yes, we want it." And even now, we have networks that are waiting on us to create content so we can throw it on there. And so it is, again, it's getting out there, talking to people. And it's also working that computer, putting yourself out there, being relentless, as he said. That's how we were able to do it.
Okay, I'm going to save this question for the next one because I'm going to ask this one for the next one.
Okay, we definitely coming back.
Yes, y'all coming back.
Longer too, but we have to get our baby.
Oh, cool. I'm always like that. I want to talk to you all night long. So
we do.
Say that again.
We do want to talk. We love talking. So
okay, so we're two peas in the pie because I love talking as well. So where can people find you guys?
So they can find us on youtube.com, type in Tough Love Series, all of 3 seasons of New York, 1 season of Los Angeles, 1 season of Atlanta, and Pillow Talk is on there. You can find Roni Black Love Exists on Instagram. Join the Everything Black Love. And then you can find me, my personal Instagram, Caleb Davis Films on IG. And
my personal Instagram is Mrs. Roni Davis, MRS Roni Davis.
And type it in right, because if you just type in Roni Davis, all these Roni Davises start popping up. And I'm like, that ain't her. I'm scrolling. I'm like, that ain't her. Where the good one? I'm like, oh, I typed it wrong. Gotta type it right. It was all these crazy Ronnies coming. I'm like, no, that is not Caleb's wife. But guys, this has been absolutely amazing, and you definitely have to come back. I love doing these podcasts because I learn so much, and it's been a masterclass just listening to the two of you and the journey that you've been on. And it's just so refreshing because you guys are doing it together, which is something that you do not see often in this business. You don't see people together, people happy, and people in love, which is, you know, I'm a romantic in my old age. It is what it is. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us on the podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Help me build these numbers, because my thing is I want to bring you people like this, because we love talking about the industry, but more importantly, I love talking to my people about this industry, because oftentimes you don't see us being out in the forefront and being highlighted as people that are really doing the damn thing. And here I am talking to 2 Daytime Emmy nominated content creators. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on a conversation with Thomas Mason. We are definitely going to have to hook up. And as I always like to say at the end of my show, love this like a hobby, but above all else, treat this like a business. You know, everyone have an absolutely amazing, amazing day. Peace out.
Thank you, Floyd. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Take care.